Welcome to Waters World. I'm Jesse Waters. The left's lost its mind. That's the subject of tonight's Waters Words. I've been on my honeymoon in Mexico. I didn't watch TV for 10 days. I saw some CNN headlines at the airports. I checked Twitter about once a day. And I got the same dose of news most busy Americans get. But only 3 things broke through the haze. Ricky Gervais' speech at the Golden Globes, Tom Brady losing, and Iran. Let's focus on the terror. Now, I didn't get Fox News in Mexico. I didn't dig too deep online, so I saw the Iran news, 100% of it, through the eyes of the liberal media. First, the libs seemed excited that our embassy in Iraq was under attack. They were claiming it was Trump's Benghazi, which is weird because they always said Benghazi is a conspiracy theory. Anyway, Trump sent reinforcements in immediately and nobody died. Okay, good. Now, I'm on the beach thinking, how's Trump going to respond? Can't let the Iranian militias attack our embassy. An American contractor had just been killed earlier in the week by the Iranians. Can't let that slide. So then Trump calls in a strike against Iran's top general, Qasem Soleimani. He's the jihadi general with American blood in his hands. He's killed at least 600 Americans in his long career. He calls the shots with Hezbollah. He shot down our drone. He attacked our oil tankers and our allies. He was behind the embassy attack and was plotting more attacks on Americans. We had intel on him, and Trump ordered the kill shot. But I kept hearing that liberals weren't happy.
We are not safer today than we were before Donald Trump acted.
This is and was an enormous escalation.
Taking out a bad guy is not necessarily a good idea.
It would have been a dereliction of duty if Trump had let Soleimani skate. Remember when President Clinton passed up the strike against bin Laden? A few years later, boom, 9/11. You don't get mulligans as president. The commander-in-chief has a duty to take these people out. David Petraeus said the killing of Soleimani was more important than the killing of al-Baghdadi and bin Laden. These guys are pure evil. But the media eulogized the general.
It's difficult to convey how revered he is. He's regarded as personally incredibly brave. The troops love him.
By killing Qasem Soleimani, the U.S. has stripped Iran of an inspirational military leader.
In life, Qasem Soleimani was celebrated as a military commander. In death, he's being saluted as a hero and a martyr.
The impact of his death, profound. The emotion just as powerful. The supreme leader of Iran weeping and praying over a coffin draped in the Iraqi flag.
What the hell was that? This guy's job was to kill Americans, nuke up, and wipe Israel off the map. Why does the American media sound like Al Jazeera? Then Iran responded. The regime launched missiles against 2 of our bases in Iraq. I got nervous and began worrying about our soldiers. MSNBC's reporting was very scary.
The second wave of rocket attacks have been launched from Iran. The IRGC was saying that Ayatollah Khamenei, the supreme leader of this country, was in the control center coordinating these attacks. We're also getting unconfirmed reports from state media saying that they have leveled the Ain al-Assad base in Iraq and they have killed 30 U.S. troops.
Turns out that was fake news. That was Iranian government propaganda. There were 0 U.S. casualties, thank God. Now, I'm on my honeymoon out of the country thinking, does Trump want war with Iran? No. He's not going to get pulled deeper into the Middle East. But all you heard in the U.S. media was this.
Tragically, his actions now put us on the path to another war.
We need to presume that we are now at war with Iran. I don't say that lightly.
You know, it's an act of war. There's really no other way to look at it.
A brand new war run by this corrupt and curious president, that is the ultimate fear.
We've entered into a hot war with Iran. Donald Trump simply politically is not in a position to not be able to escalate from here.
Now, why does the left seem giddy with the fake I told you so's, patting themselves on the back for predicting Trump would bumble us into World War III? Once again, fake news. There's no war. It de-escalated. America's safer, and Iran got the message.
No Americans were harmed. in last night's attack by the Iranian regime. We suffered no casualties. Iran appears to be standing down, which is a good thing for all parties concerned and a very good thing for the world. The United States is ready to embrace peace with all who seek it.
So the evil Iranian general gets dusted, no U.S. casualties, America's at peace. But Trump has the left so scrambled they can't give him any credit. Instead, they give Tucker Carlson and Fox News credit. Look at this. Vanity Fair. Tucker Carlson is dictating Trump's policy on Iran. AP. Did Fox's Tucker Carlson play a role in calming Iran pressure? BuzzFeed. Fox News hosts were against a ground war with Iran. Trump listened. So Trump has these liberals so twisted around, the media has aligned itself with Tucker and the Ayatollah. They've gone mad. Obama sent the Iranians cash to buy the missiles that were fired on American soldiers. That guy gets the Nobel Peace Prize. The left thinks bribing terrorists with cash is good, but killing them is bad. Now, I'm on my honeymoon thinking, what is wrong with these people? Our embassy was attacked in Benghazi, and Obama arrested a filmmaker who wasn't responsible. Our embassy was attacked in Iraq, and Trump killed the warmonger who was responsible. And after all this, after Americans were targeted with Iranian missiles, Nancy Pelosi wants to tie Trump's hands so he can't fight back. Would an American patriot do that? The answer is no. You can't trust these people. Trump doesn't.
They're all trying to say, how dare you take him out that way? You should come in and tell us what you want to do. You should come in and tell us so that we can call up the fake news that's back there and we can leak it. Can you imagine calling crooked Adam Schiff? Say, gee, Adam, how you doing? Listen, we have the world's #1 terrorist. We'd like to set up a meeting so we can discuss his execution. Would you be willing to meet? Well, I won't be able to make it this week. Well, you know, he's traveling fast. We got him lined up, Adam. You little pencil neck.
He's absolutely right. You just can't trust crazy. Here with reaction, counselor to the president, Kellyanne Conway. So, Kellyanne, I was in Mexico the whole week. Did I get that pretty much right?
You did pretty well. First of all, congratulations and best wishes to you and your new bride,
Thank
Jesse.
you.
Love the tweet. I'm Wooders and this is my wife. Very clever.
Thank you.
So I really love your opening for many reasons, not least of which is you pointed out all the people who don't seem to have their trade table locked in its upright position these days. I'm very disappointed that the resolution that was passed this week was trying to curb the president's powers as commander-in-chief rather than the entire Senate getting behind the resolution put forth by Senator Ted Cruz, which basically is just to express gratitude to our military and our intelligence officials for having successfully executed the strike that took out one of the world's most wanted and feared terrorists. Actually, no Democrat at the time of this airing has said that they will support that resolution. I'm informed, and that's disappointing because when Osama bin Laden was taken out and killed, all 100 senators supported a similar resolution, structurally similar resolution. All 100. So, sure, politics is supposed to stop at the water's edge. We're supposed to get behind the military, get behind the commander-in-chief, wave the flag, and not denigrate it when things like this happen. And it's just too bad. I also think the 2020 crowd, as you were just relating, really didn't know what to do with this because they're stuck. Nobody cares what they say. They don't even pay attention to these town halls anymore. They're starting to feel the burn again. The guy who beat Hillary in 22 contests in the primary is raising all this money and is in it to stay. And if you're a socialist on economic policies, we know what your foreign policy is. They're becoming apologists for the bad guys, and that's very disappointing. Buttigieg, what did he want the president to do? He's going to invite Soleimani into the wine cave? We think that we know where Soleimani is and belongs. We think al-Baghdadi was looking very lonely in hell and needed a roommate.
Yeah, I don't think Mayor Pete would make it out of the wine cave alive if he was in there with Soleimani. Now, we know it's about politics and not about principle because just a few years ago, when Obama and Hillary were running wild in Libya, Nancy sang a different tune. Let's listen to her back in the day.
Madam Leader, you're saying that the president did not need authorization initially and still does not need any authorization from Congress on Libya?
Yes.
Okay, so obviously it's politics, nothing more, nothing less.
Well, it is, and they've proven that again and again. In fact, it's one Nancy Pelosi who referred to, you remember when she referred to something as Armageddon? Let's have a brief quiz, a reminder. Was she referring to Armageddon as the death and destruction by Soleimani or al-Baghdadi, these other guys? Was Armageddon the destruction that's going on in the Middle East? No. Armageddon is how she described the Trump tax cut when it passed without a single Democratic vote. And now we have this unbelievable economic boom. The wage growth among blue-collar workers is incredible. The Dow Jones hit 29,000 for the first time this very week. You've got the USMCA completed. Actually, Senator Grassley is worried that because of the impeachment delay, it's going to delay the ratification, the full passage and signing of the USMCA. So now our farmers and ranchers and auto manufacturers and workers are stuck because of this impeachment nonsense and the delay strategy. And now we have, by the way, the unemployment rate for President Obama from February of 2009 to December of 2011 was, drumroll, 9.3. We did a little dip and flip in the Trump administration. Is 3.9 in his first 3 years. 9.3, 3.9. You do the math. So that's why everything is so hyper-partisan now. And the other thing is they've been trying to get Donald Trump, get him out from the moment he was elected. Get him out. Find those 70,000 votes. Get his tax returns. We'll sue him in the SDNY. We'll do the Mueller investigation. Then we'll talk about Ukraine. Then we'll have a recession. The only way to actually get him out would be through the ballot box, and it seems the only way that they haven't actually tried. And I think since you're mentioning so much about the media, I'll say two things. Yep. They can't beat him, and they can't quit him. What would they do without him? And so they can't beat him, they can't quit him. For those of you old enough to remember, this is like the Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote. And Wile E. Coyote, he just keeps on blowing up the dynamite in his own face. Every time we're going to war, there are 30 casualties. We had an American news station repeating unverified reports from Iranian TV that there were 30 U.S. casualties. Imagine what the family members of our brave men and women who are there were thinking about that. And yet none of it was true. Zero casualties taking out these terrorists.
It's totally reckless.
It is reckless, and it's a conclusion in search of evidence. It's all because it's Trump versus X. And whatever, whoever, wherever X is credible, X is magnificent, X is brilliant, X can win. X is X. And Trump, however, is ascendant. He's ascendant as commander-in-chief, and he's ascendant as the steward of this domestic economy.
And you know, you forgot about a few things. The judge just approved $3.5 billion for the border wall, and they're about to paper phase 1 in China deal. All right, big start to 2020. Kellyanne Conway at the White House. Thank you very much.
Thank you. See you soon. Take care.
One of the stars of the squad, Congresswoman Omar, said killing Iran's top general gave her PTSD.
I feel ill a little bit. I find myself being stricken with PTSD. The President of the United States has been goading Iran into war.
No, he hasn't. She also was caught on camera joking and laughing during a very inappropriate moment when her colleague Sheila Jackson Lee was memorializing the thousands of American soldiers who've died in the Middle East. Joining me now, radio talk show host Larry Elder and the founder of PragerUniversity.com, Dennis Prager. Dennis, I mean, now she's complaining about sanctions being slapped on the Iranians while, you know, she wants sanctions on the Israelis. Figure that one out.
I do, actually. I can figure it out. It was discovered 2,000 years ago in the Talmud, the second holiest book in Judaism. There's a famous phrase, those who are kind to the cruel will be cruel to the kind. And that that is exactly what she's doing. So sanctions on the kind, Israel, but no sanctions on the cruel, Iran. She is a living embodiment of a 2,000-year-old human rule.
Wow. What do you, now, psychologically, we're going deep now. Larry, what do you think drives that mentality that you're seeing that coming out of Congresswoman Omar?
There's a word for it. It's called anti-Semitism. It's pretty simple. Look, this is probably one of the most ungrateful refugees we've ever had. You look at the statements that she's made, run by the Benjamins. It's all about the Benjamins. They have dual loyalty. Israel hypnotized the world. And now this last one, PTSD. What about the PTSD of all the men and women who were maimed by the IEDs that Soleimani made more deadly and more efficient? And one more thing, Jesse, if there's an equivalent of Ilhan Omar on our side, on the Republican side, it's got to be Steve King from Iowa, who's made a bunch of statements culminating in January of last year when he told the New York Times, what's wrong with white supremacy? What happened? Within a matter of days, there was a specific resolution condemning him by name, and he lost all of his committee assignments. What's happened to Ilhan Omar? They couldn't even get a resolution to condemn her by name.
Yeah, they had to water that resolution down pretty hard. Also drawing some attention, Dennis, this week, Omar tweeted this. Trump needs to immediately divest from his businesses and comply with the emoluments clause. Iran could threaten Trump hotels worldwide, and he could provoke war over the loss of revenue from skittish guests. Wow. His business interests should not be driving military decisions. Do you see that as kind of putting a target on Trump properties worldwide?
I hadn't thought of it that way. What I see it as, there's a sort of Pravda-like propaganda mill that comes from the left that is so absurd, what she said, that he is driven by monetary considerations. You see, when people don't think morally or in terms of American interest, and she doesn't think morally or in terms of America's interest, they have to come up with some Marxist explanation, which always has to do with a materialist explanation. That's what Marxism is. There must be an economic reason, and it's profoundly far-fetched. I just want to bounce off the PTSD claim that you and Larry were talking about. She has PTSD from our killing one of the leading terrorists on earth. Then either if she's telling the truth, the woman is ill. And if she's not telling the truth, she's doing what the left does to all of these terms.
Wow. All right. A lot of people diagnosing Congresswoman Omar tonight. Larry, we're running out of time. I got to go. But thank you guys for a very interesting discussion. New photos emerge of Bill Clinton boarding. The Iran strikes put foreign policy front and center in the 2020 presidential campaign. Joe Biden decided to give a major speech this week on the Middle East and confused Iraq with Iran.
The Iran Parliament voted to eject all Americans and coalition forces from the country.
Biden was also confronted by Peter Doocy, Fox News, while he was campaigning in Iowa about targeting top terrorist leaders.
If you were ever handed a piece of intelligence that said you can stop an imminent attack on Americans, but you have to use an airstrike to take out a terror leader, would you pull the trigger?
Well, we did. The guy's name was Osama bin Laden.
And didn't you tell President Obama not to go after bin Laden that day?
I didn't.
But Biden lied to us. When he was vice president, he was against the bin Laden raid. Here he is in his own words.
For about 4 weeks, only 6 of us knew the possibility of where bin Laden was. We had to make a decision. The president, he went around the table with all the senior people, including the chiefs of staff, and he said, I have to make this decision. What is your opinion? Mr. President, my suggestion is don't go. We have to do 2 more things to see if he's there.
Joining me now, former White House press secretary and Fox News contributor Sarah Huckabee Sanders, and the founder of Turning Point USA, Charlie Kirk. I don't know, I guess Joe has the most foreign policy experience of any of these people running, but it's not very good experience, is it, Sanders?
Absolutely not. Even Robert Gates, who served in the Obama administration and has served in Republican administration, said that Joe Biden's been wrong on nearly every single foreign policy decision in the last several decades. He was wrong on the Soviet Union. He was wrong on Iran. He was wrong about ISIS. He was wrong about Soleimani. He was even wrong about the assassination of bin Laden. I don't know that Joe Biden has gotten anything right. I don't know why anyone would want him taking over as commander-in-chief at such a pivotal time in our country when so many big moments are happening and he hasn't gotten anything right in the past. Why would we trust him to get anything right in the future? It seems like a dangerous move, and thankfully we have a president who is not afraid to make tough decisions, and I think if you put that contrast up against one another, it's a great thing for this president and another reason he's going to be reelected in November.
Yeah, Charlie, in just even recent times, his administration responsible for kicking the can down the road in North Korea. They got out of Iraq way too early, let the ISIS caliphate take over, did nothing there. And this guy wants to be commander-in-chief? I don't think so.
Yeah, when he's not confusing Middle Eastern countries or confusing primary states, he's messing everything up in the Middle East on both sides of kind of the philosophical foreign policy debate. So he destabilized Libya, which Barack Obama said was one of his worst mistakes of his presidency.
Yeah.
Under the Obama-Biden, they also did nothing when Bashar al-Assad slaughtered hundreds of thousands of innocent civilians throughout Syria and the Syrian civil war. They vacated Iraq, which led to the rise of ISIS, not to mention that Joe Biden originally voted to invade Iraq under George W. Bush, but didn't support the Persian Gulf War in the early 1990s, which was very successful. You name it, he has screwed it up in the region. And he also was behind the deal to send $1 billion in cash to the evil Iranian regime and lift the sanctions of hundreds of billions of dollars against Iran. No matter what it is. Yeah, Joe Biden has 40 years of experience of making the Middle East a perpetual quagmire on both sides of the issue.
It is very true. Now, a lot of the other candidates really didn't know what to do after Salami was taken out. They couldn't figure out how to position themselves. Warren got kind of caught dancing while missiles were hitting U.S. bases in Iraq. Caught a lot of heat for that. And then there's Bernie Sanders, who came out of nowhere and compared Trump to Putin. Let's listen to that.
This guy is, was as bad as he was an official of the Iranian government. And you unleash, then if China does that, if Russia does that, Russia has been implicated under Putin with assassinating dissidents. Assassination, you unleash some very, very terrible forces.
So Iran's top general's a dissident, Sarah. We're in the assassination game. Got that?
I mean, this is a true Trump derangement syndrome at its worst. I mean, I think we see it every single day from the candidates out there and all of the crazy things that they're saying, including Bernie Sanders. I mean, the idea that he make that comparison is absurd and ridiculous on so many fronts, and another reason we don't want any one of these people anywhere near making decisions. I do think that a good idea for Joe Biden, when the president wins re-election in November, he should hire Joe Biden as a consultant, and everything that Biden says and advises we should do, he should do the opposite, and I think he will have a perfect 100 for foreign policy making decisions going forward.
It's like George Costanza in Seinfeld, when every single instinct he's ever had has been wrong. Real quick, Charlie, just 30 seconds because we're tight. Mayor Pete is blaming the president for Iran shooting down the Ukrainian jet. Can you figure that out for me or not?
It's a blame America first philosophy. If you think America is always wrong, then you'll be able to find every answer in the Democrat primary, no matter what it is. It's an unbelievable propaganda campaign the media has ventured on to somehow blame President Trump for Iran killing over 150 civilians on a jetliner.
Yeah, that's a lot of acrobatics. All right, Sarah, Charlie, thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
You bet. Thanks, Jesse.
Up next, Nancy Pelosi caves on that little impeachment game she was playing with the Senate.
No, I'm not holding him indefinitely. I'll send him over when I'm ready. And that will probably be soon.
Actually, soon as next week. Nancy got nervous and caved, finally, to Senator Mitch McConnell after she tried to squeeze him for concessions. She also felt a little pressure from Democrats on her own side. They said, time's up. Just send the articles over, Nancy, and let's finish this up. Joining me now, former Florida Attorney General Pam Bondi, a special advisor to President Trump and a key member of his impeachment defense team. Pam, she never had any leverage. She never was going to be able to make the Senate do what she wanted them to do. They'd had enough of it. The Democrats even had enough of it. And game's over. The articles go next week.
Game's over. And you know, Jesse, she didn't get pressured. She got pummeled by her own party. You know, just when you thought this couldn't become more dysfunctional, the sham, then came Nancy Pelosi trying to hold these articles. And, you know, as Leader McConnell said, you know, in this world, she really brought people together. In a world where it's so partisan now, she has single-handedly managed to create a bipartisan atmosphere in the Senate. Because as you just said, the senators want it over there. What are we hearing? Feinstein, we've got Blumenthal. Back in the House, we've got Adam Smith from the Armed Services Committee telling her, hey, this is Mitch McConnell. He's the senator. You're not the senator. So she needs to send him over. You know, unbelievable. But the good news is it's going to get sent over there. Cory Booker can now probably still run for president because the longer she held him, he wasn't able to do anything.
Right.
So
she does.
We're pleased they're coming over.
She looks irrelevant because she tied it up for many, many weeks, promising the media, promising her Democratic colleagues that she was going to have this strategy which was going to change the terms of the debate in the Senate. She was going to get witnesses called in the Senate. She was going to get this done. She was going to get that done. She didn't do anything.
No,
she did nothing
and Jesse,
at all.
don't forget, she calls our great president who did nothing wrong a clear and present danger. Oh, he's so horrible that she had to get these over there. And what does she do? She holds on to him. It's political gamesmanship, and she failed miserably.
No, she failed at her own game, and I'm tired of the media saying that she's this master strategist, that she's this brilliant parliamentarian. What evidence do we have of that? She shut down the government. She botched the impeachment deal. She did nothing all year, and now she's going to lose the gavel. All right, Pam Bondi.
That's right.
There she is. Have a great weekend.
You too. Congratulations.
Thank you. All right, up next, new photos of Bill Clinton on Jeffrey Epstein's plane. We're going to show you those. And a shocking development from Epstein's. We've been reporting that Bill Clinton flew many times on Jeffrey Epstein's private jet. A private investigator told us that one of the co-pilots said Bill Clinton flew on the plane without Secret Service a few times and while young stewardesses were dressed up as candy stripers. Now, new photos have emerged showing the former president on Epstein's plane and with Epstein's alleged madam. Here he is with Ghislaine Maxwell, who's under FBI investigation for engaging in alleged underage sex trafficking. Ghislaine Maxwell also attended Chelsea Clinton's wedding. And also, not on the plane, but here is Clinton with Shantae Davies, Epstein's former masseuse, who has accused Epstein of raping her. Here with reaction, the host of Crime Stories with Nancy Grace, coming soon to Fox Nation. Nancy Grace. So Nancy, we're not convicting the former president right now. We are just saying that more and more is coming out about his relationship, whether it's the discrepancy over the flights that he took, whether it's the ABC Amy Robach allegation. Now new photos are emerging. What kind of pattern are you seeing here?
Are you talking about with Clinton or Epstein? Because I've got problems with both. I don't, looking at it in the light most favorable to Clinton, it's just bad PR. To be on a plane, on Epstein's plane, Lolita Express, with Ghislaine Maxwell, who in my mind is nothing more than a high-class pimp. Okay? And not only, I believe Kevin Spacey was also on that plane in 2002 on a humanitarian trip to Africa with the Clinton Foundation. Does that mean Clinton did anything wrong? No, it doesn't. Is it a horrible PR nightmare? Yes, it is. I'm more concerned about Epstein than I am with Clinton right now. So as far as I know, Clinton's not connected with a dead body yet.
Okay. And one of the things we showed you was the picture of Bill Clinton posing with one of Epstein's very young-looking masseuses.
Shantae Davis, yes.
Right. And one of the sick ways that he would get these girls was promising them cash for massages. The massages turned into other things. ABC aired the other night some interviews with some former massages of Epstein. Here's that.
We got approached by one of our fellow friends. She knew a guy in Palm Beach that we could give massages to and we could make $200.
When he came in, I had to take my bra off and my pants off. I was allowed to stand there in my underwear.
He tried, like, pushing my panties to the side. When he tried to do that, I backed up and I went like this, and I was like, whoa.
I mean, the guy's just a predator, and more women are coming out day after day.
You know what concerns me, I mean, on so many levels, so many things, as a crime victim myself, these are women that are very articulate and were of an age that they could say, hey, no, stop. A lot of the alleged victims are underage. I've dealt with a lot of child molestation, Jesse, and those children never ever get over what happened. They may go on in life, but it forever taints the rest of their life. And at this level, with this many alleged victims, these are the ones that can articulate what happened. How many are there out there that haven't come forward yet?
Yeah, and allegedly these women were between the ages of 13 and 18, and he targeted them, and they came from underprivileged backgrounds and were not a part of the Palm Beach community. They were from outside that community in the county.
Well, I guess not. Let's just say they're not having lunch over at Mar-a-Lago. No. That's not happening.
No,
but that's not unusual, Jesse, as you well know from covering all of this. Very often predators like Epstein instinctively, I don't know that they really think it out, but they instinctively prey on people that are weak. They pick the weakest gazelle in the pack and go after it.
Right, because they would never be able to hire a lawyer, and no one would ever believe them, and they'd get crushed in court. Now, we also have new images from the cell where Jeffrey Epstein allegedly committed suicide. I believe 60 Minutes ran some of those images. Interesting, a lot of material in there, a lot of sheets and things like that. They neatly stacked pill bottles on the side near the bed. Like, why would he be having access to all those pills if he was suicidal? Why give him all the access to all the sheets? It doesn't make a lot of sense.
Well, it goes to this. The overarching problem is the numerous systemic failures. How can it all be a coincidence? And one of my catchphrases is there's no coincidence in criminal law. How is it? He was on suicide watch. He already tried to commit suicide once. They take him off 1 week later and put him in a cell. They move his roommate out. The guards go to sleep. The video doesn't work. In the cell, there is an electrical cord to a sleep app machine. There's an abundance of those orange sheets, and nobody notices. We know the top bunk was not disturbed. And that's important, Jesse, very important, because there are pill bottles neatly arranged sitting upright on the top bunk. That tells me that he had to use a lower bunk rail. Why is that significant, Jesse? Because if you hang yourself leaning forward from a lower bunk, there's no way, I think, you can get the velocity to crack not one, not two, but 3 areas of your neck. I've prosecuted and investigated literally thousands of homicide by asphyxiation, suicide, to determine the difference, the assessment and method of homicide and suicide. I've never seen a suicide with 3 snaps in the neck. From low velocity, like Robin Williams, you put something around your neck like a bed sheet, and then you slowly go forward till you hang. That doesn't break your neck bones.
And Dr. Michael Bodden agrees with you. He's never seen anything like that in a suicide, those types of breakages in the neck bone like that. And the video surveillance that was supposed to show his first suicide attempt, it's missing now. The federal prosecutor says it's gone.
It's gone. It's not missing.
It was just a mistake.
They said they inadvertently preserved the video from another tier of the jail, another level.
Yeah, they preserved the wrong video, and then that one was automatically erased. Okay, like you said, nothing a coincidence in criminal.
They just keep piling up.
It's crazy. All right.
One more thing I just wanted to mention on the noose. The noose, if you look carefully at the noose that the medical examiner, identified as the noose made out of sheets, there's no blood on it. But on the furrow on his neck, it's very bloody.
But if you look at the autopsy and the picture, you see a blood right around the neck area. All right.
Exactly.
Nancy, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.